Hello? Okay, it's working. So how I'm gonna do this is I wrote a lot of notes and then I have some timestamps for specific things that I want to show in game. Um, but the majority of it is going to be I'm gonna be drawing on a overhead of Havana Point B to try to illustrate some of the um more complicated concepts of how to attack as ball. So, let's begin. The first note that I had was here at 250. You've lost both your Mercy and your Reaper. This is the time to reset right here. You're half health. They've got 6 people. You're missing a healer. You want to go all the way back to spawn, get heals. Don't give them any more ult charge. And then that happens. I didn't really notice. This was like one of the only times that I noticed in this game you made like a bad error of not resetting. Like a lot of the other times you did a pretty good job of like not going in to lost fights, you know? Um, yeah. Okay. So the next timestamp I had was 340. Yeah, so you go for a grapple here. Yep, so you go for this grapple here. You do slam eventually here, but what I would have done here is I would have, as soon as I got the hit marker on these people, I would have jumped up onto the payload and then slammed back onto them. Yeah, so you get shattered. Oh, hold on. My Overwatch volume is too loud. I always forget that I have to turn down Overwatch when I do these reviews. Okay. Yeah, so you get slammed, and then you go in for a pile driver. The pile driver is good, and your team, I think, ends up winning this fight. I'm not sure. But, the point is not to say that, like, one pile driver option was better than the other one there. It's that there are a couple other times in this game where you are, like, near ledges or near the payload, and you have pile driver, but you don't use it. Um, I want to see you do more like ledge pile drivers. They're completely free, not much risk to you, and those are also the same as payload pile drivers. I know you did do a couple of the payload pile drivers this game, but I think I want to see them become a bigger part of your ball game, because they're unpredictable for the enemy team. They're pretty safe for you. And yeah, it allows you to stay in close range of that target for free, so you can get the guns on them. Oh, another thing about the guns. It actually looked a lot like your primary fire aim and your primary fire usage have improved a lot since the last time I watched you play ball. You were definitely finishing a lot more kills than I remember in the previous ball reviews with your guns this time. Like your tracking was pretty good, you were getting final blows with the guns, you were harassing targets up close that like couldn't necessarily stun you or deal a lot of damage to you with the guns, so that was good. Let's see, next timestamp, 455. 455 is going to be an illustration of, I think, one of your, this is, I think, one of your biggest problems with ball, but it's also one of the easiest to fix, and that is, that you don't very often, slam after using your mines. Yeah. So the only way, there's like two conditions for which I would mine without slamming. One is I'm going to die, and I'm gonna die in pile drivers on cooldown. And two is they're in a really enclosed space, and I want the mines spread tightly. Even in like overtime scenarios where you want the mines to be on the cart, you still want to pile drive off of the cart after placing your mines. So, yeah. As long as you have pile driver here, so you hit hit the payload there. So that's just a it's just like a grapple angle thing. If you had, let's take a look at this in slow-mo.
Full speed.
Okay, so you pick that grapple angle. Watch this in slow-mo. Yeah, so you go a little bit too close to the cart. I think if you hold D a little bit more there, you can get up into the air instead of impacting the cart. But you also could have chosen a slightly lower grapple angle to get up in the air there. It's all like the geometry with balls, hard to explain. But yeah, I think here,
Area denied.
after touching the cart by accident and missing the grapple, I would have jumped up onto the payload and mined the payload and then done a slam off of the payload with the mines. But yeah, there were a lot of times in this game where you just like mined on the ground or like not in the air or not slamming, and that really decreases the coverage of your mine shield. Or minefield. There were a couple times where it worked, but a lot of times where it didn't really work, and they just kind of like walked around the mines or destroyed them or something like that. Let's see. Next timestamps 7:45. Yeah, here. So your E usage in this game was pretty good, as usual. I think I remember saying that your E usage was good in the previous Ball Vods. So here, and a couple other times I noticed, but this was like the easiest one to look at. You get 1000 HP, but you kind of just disengage and go away from them. Um, So like one of my viewers likes to use what is called the Harblu rule on Ball. If you watch Harblu, he's like an off-tank streamer. He's really popular. His rule for Ball is that you have to be the biggest asshole all the time. Everything that you do is to be annoying. You always have to be thinking, how can I be the biggest asshole when I'm playing Ball? And your shields, when you generate 1k HP here, that is just like fuel for you to become the biggest asshole. You go into the middle of their team, I don't know, just shoot someone randomly. The mercy's pretty low. Just like feed for that mercy kill for like the 6 to 7 seconds that you have those shields up. Yeah, so when you get this much HP with the shields and you're not being like immediately bulldozed by 6 players, you want to get aggressive with those shields and make yourself extremely annoying. And that's kind of how you do it with the shields, but the whole making yourself extremely annoying thing, I'm going to cover that once we get into the drawing portion of this where I draw on the map of Havana Point B. Let me check if I had any other notes before we start that. Let's see, so I wrote down, I think Ball was much more workable on your attack than your defense. If it were me, I would have picked Sigma on your defense just because of the McCree Brig, but it's not like you couldn't play Ball. Oh, okay. Um, the other note that I had was that there's no need to grapple up into the air for a slam when you're next to a ledge. Because if you just do a ledge slam instead of grappling, then you still have your grapple to either escape or even finish the kill or, I don't know, roll back through the enemy team. There's just a lot more utility. Oh yeah, the last note I had. So when you're doing this whole spin to win thing, let me see, when you do this on your attack on point B.
In transit. Payload has halt.
Here we go. Yeah, so when you're spinning to win like this, it's really good to just like sometimes you just kind of stop where you are. Like once you get out of the line of sight of whatever enemy is trying to track you in this circle, then you just stop and start off the other way. Because people like people with stuns, like Ryan with charge, they're always just gonna predict that you're gonna keep going the way that you're going. But you can actually stop fairly quickly on ball and start spinning the other way instead. And you want to do that when you're on like the other side of the payload from enemies that are trying to stun you. So that's just a small ball tip that you can use to like avoid being flashed or charged or like brig bashed while you're spinning to win. Um, okay. So now I want to get into the big part of this video. I haven't really done a video like this very often. So let me know how it was. I just need to get a window capture going here. Because I think the biggest problem I saw, here we go. The biggest problem I saw with your team's attack, um, it seemed a lot like you were, like, how do I say this? It seemed like you weren't always taking the route of least resistance towards your targets when you were trying to attack point B specifically as ball. Your team spent a lot of time stuck on point B, and hold on, I gotta try to I gotta try to zoom into this. I might just crop it. Yeah, so your team spent like a lot of time stuck on point B, and I think part of that was because with your ball play, you weren't necessarily taking the route of least resistance to your targets. Like you were spending a little bit of time on the front line and also I don't know, like taking shots from the McCree and the Reaper, you were having to go through resistance to get to the enemy supports. And that's not typically how you want to do it on ball. And I'm gonna try to explain that here once I actually get this photo ready. Okay, nice, got it. Okay, good size. So let's say their team is like here. Um, their Sigma's here. They got a DPS here, a DPS here. They got their other tank here. Supports are here and here. I need to do something to actually distinguish them. Okay. Sigma, McCree, Reaper, Mercy, believe they had a Rhine. Rhine. And then I believe it was, let's see, Moira, yeah. They actually had a Zarya at the end of point B, but that's okay. So your targets here on the ball are these two. Um, and whether or not the Mercy is stuck to them Kree pocketing or not doesn't really matter. So I'm gonna try to draw your path in this yellow. So you come out of spawn. You have a lot of options. Let's say, oh, we need to determine where the payload is. So let's say the payload is right here. You have a lot of options for attacking this point as ball. As ball, it's like unique, as in you don't need to be on the front line. That's not how ball creates space. The more time you spend on the front line with ball, the less value you're gonna get. The only times that you can be like, ah, I'm gonna frontline with ball is when you get a big E, you have like 1000 HP, and you can spend like a few seconds on the front line, like maybe shooting their tanks and annoying people, and then you grapple out. You either grapple out or you grapple deeper in from there. But anyways, so you come out of spawn, your team is trying to push this, like maybe you have a lot of options. So you could go this way, and then hit a ledge slam onto these people here. You could like grapple through this doorway, fly over here, and then ledge slam the supports. Um, let's denote places that you would grapple on these rollouts in green. So you could fly over there, grapple off the doorway, and then ledge slam the supports. You could also go this way. And then you could do like a high angle grapple off of these drums. And then from there, you fly into the supports. And then lastly, you could also go this way. If you do that, you come out here. And then you could like, you roll up a little bit. And you grapple to here, this wall. Oops, that's the wrong color. Grapple to this wall. And then roll through again. So those are like all of your options for getting to the supports, because really any other targets here are going to be like opportunistic targets. For example, oh, the McCree is feeding in the front line. I boop him towards my team and kill him. McCree and Reaper aren't usually the targets you want to be going for here, but if you see an opportunity to actually kill them, then there you go. You can actually go for them. But you want to roll out and with killing the supports in mind, if that makes sense. Um, and then, so now that we've covered all of your possible angles of attack, I want to show, I'll show in blue the area that you want to avoid. The area that you want to avoid on this point as ball, here, here, basically this whole area here. Because they have a Mercy boosted McCree, and they also have a Reaper. If you position yourself here, this is where a traditional main tank would want to roll out to take damage on the front line and make space for his team that way, right? Like for example, a Rhine would want to come up these stairs and go into the blue area and meet their Rhine right where he, or meet the, yeah, the Reaper where he is here to take this high ground for his team. But on ball, you have to turn that on its head. The more time you spend in this blue area, the more damage you're going to take, and then the less leeway you have when you actually take a better angle to get to the supports. Causing chaos in the backline is the way that you create space for your front line on ball. No. Just draw a big no there. Okay. So then the last thing I wanted to cover, I hope this video isn't going to go too long for you, but we've covered making your angle unpredictable, like your angle of attack. You can also make your pattern of attack unpredictable as well. And you want to do this based on your knowledge of how many people are focusing you at a time, which is what I think what I've talked about before, like the tank skill, is how many people are focusing me, what can I get away with these people that are focusing me. So, for example, when you're playing against the McCree Brig, you're really trying to avoid the flashbang, the whip shot, and the shield bash. So maybe you take this door grapple angle. You want to roll through the supports, but the McCree and Brig see that you're coming. You're afraid you're going to get flashed. So what you do is you just roll through. You don't stay around, try to shoot. You just roll through, and maybe you kind of like escape out this way, and now you're sitting back here. Now you're behind them again. You can wait a little bit, wait for them to forget about you, and then go right back in. They just saw you roll through and not do anything. Maybe they're going to expect that you do that again. If you see that the McCree and the Brig have like used their resources, or you can reasonably stay away from them and maybe shoot at the Mercy, then you can change up your pattern of attack a little bit. You can take another angle, or the same angle now that they've forgotten about you, roll back through their backline, and then if you feel like you can dodge the stuns, then you want to make yourself unpredictable. Instead of just rolling through, you could slam shoot, go for a kill, like slam shoot, commit your E. But then you want to roll out as soon as you're taking a lot of damage. Maybe you go over here. Now you wait here for them to forget about you again. You find where their backline is, find an isolated target, then you roll back out again. And I mean, maybe this time you don't want to just like or maybe this time you want to go for another like shoot slam combo, you want to get a kill, but you go for the slam and you get stunned at the bottom of the slam. Now you just gotta E and roll out instead of just shooting. And now you can like, I don't know, you're here, there's chaos going on all around you, you go to this mega. And oh, that's another thing that I forgot to talk about. It looks like you relied on megas a lot defensively with ball, but you can also rely on them offensively. There were some times, especially on point C of both rounds, where you took a lot of damage and in their backline, and you rolled back through their front line to get to your healers to get healed, and that cost you your life a couple times. Um, just know that you can escape to the enemy mega if you want to. Playing the enemy megas in their backline is a valid strategy on ball. So the note that I wrote down was play megas offensively as well as defensively, because it definitely, it looks like you have the defensive mega playstyle down, but don't forget that you can steal their megas as well if you're in their backline. Yeah, so all of these things tie into the hard blue rule of being the biggest asshole on ball. Um, against these teams that have, especially the teams that have things that are going to stun you a lot, the less stuns that the enemy team has, the less things that can stop your grapple, things that can like burn you down quickly, like hacks and stuns, the less things like that a team has, the less erratic you have to be with your grapple movements. Like the less you have to change up your angle of attack over and over. You should still be unpredictable against these teams, but it becomes extremely important against these teams that have lots of stuns. Um, like these rules of engagement that I drew out here for this specific situation, these are the same really against any team comp, but except for maybe like bunker or double shield. But they become so much more important when you're facing multiple stuns on ball that can just mess you up. Let's see, was that it? I believe that was all I had. So to review, make sure you are slamming your mines unless you're gonna die and you don't have pile driver or they're in an like super enclosed space. Uh, primary fire is a lot better. Your usage of it is a lot better too. It really looked like you weren't getting stuck shooting guns at times where you shouldn't have. Um, remember to just do ledge slams a lot and also payload slams. And then remember to stop in 180 while you are spinning to win. Play health packs offensively as well as defensively. Not every grapple needs to be a kill. You want to be liberal with your roll throughs. It's a really short cooldown. Don't be afraid to just roll through and try to knock somebody out of position. It's also your team's job to follow up on your knockups and like knockouts with grapple. Um, Couple mistakes that were like you need to reset here, but those are just kind of common between like when right after the enemy team caps. But I think the most important thing here is this graphic I drew. I hope this is okay. Um, I hope it's like understandable and readable. But like the big no area, just remember that that's where traditional main tanks play. Ball is the opposite. These yellow and green roots where the green is where you grapple onto your targets, the supports. Those are the lanes that ball plays. So yeah, I think that's it. Um, if you have any other questions, I haven't really done a video like this before, so I could always redo something if you didn't quite understand it or you didn't think I explained something very well, or if there's anything I missed also, please let me know. And yeah, I'm gonna go ahead and upload this video now and send it to you unlisted. Once you watch it, I'll probably make it public.